One of the things that I became convinced of throughout college is the Bible was the authority, was an inerrant record of God's revelation to mankind. That's created problems for me because my perspective was the Bible is my authority, not any given Christian tradition. And so if what I'm reading in the Bible is not matching up with what some Christian tradition is telling me, from my perspective, that meant too bad for the tradition. What I've discovered is most Christians don't operate that way. Most Christians operate, my tradition has it right, so if you read the Bible and find the Bible in conflict with our tradition, then read it again. Everyone expects that their perspective is the right perspective, it's the truth, it's what the Bible actually teaches. The problem I have is as you watch people operate, you begin to see their methodology. And their methodology is not to actually read, let's take something like the book of Romans. You don't read the book of Romans and try to understand who wrote it, to whom did he write it, why did he write it, what are the questions in the background that he's trying to answer. They're not even asking those questions. They're going to the Bible really basically already knowing what's true. They already have that in place. And then they're culling through the various verses looking for evidence to support their perspective. Well, language is plastic enough that if I want it to say something, I'm probably going to be able to find a verse that I can look at from the right angle and say, well, I think that verse says that. So then we cite that verse as evidence for why my theology is right. But I've never done the work of setting aside all of my presuppositions, to the extent that any human being can do that, to setting that aside and just trying to ask the question, let me let Paul talk to me. What are his questions? What are his concerns? What are his arguments? What does evidence look like to him, and how does he use his evidence, and so on? That, it seems to me, is the right kind of methodology to use in the Bible, because that's the right methodology to use in any literature. I mean, I read the Bible the same way I read Nietzsche or Marx or Freud or any other writer. I'm trying to get inside their perspective, their worldview, their mindset, and understand them on their own terms. Well, that's what we have to do with the Bible. If I'm really going to understand the Word of God, I have to understand the mind of Paul and John and Peter, these people who were taught by God and the Spirit of God and are speaking to us out of that understanding that God has given them. That's the irony, is that we really have to be trained to get it wrong. Because if people just told us, read the Bible, well, we know how to read, or at least we should know how to read, we can know how to read. It's a difficult book, very difficult book, but it's not impossible to understand. It just takes work. And if somebody had just given me permission to read it, then I would have figured out that, well, how can I understand this part of the passage if I don't know what the rest of the passage is all about? And we would instinctively kind of go there and do that. So it's a matter of unlearning what we were enculturated into. One really good way for people to learn better how to read their Bible would be to get away from the Bible, read other books. Teach yourself to read other hard literature, because you're not going to, if you get it wrong, you're not going to be branded a heretic. You're not going to have people telling you you're going to hell. You know, the stakes are not the same. So you can experiment and grow and learn in what is language and how does it work and how do you know when you know what language means and that kind of stuff. If you can teach yourself how to read, now you can go back to the Bible and say, okay, use the same skills there.